Howdy YouTube, TJ here, back with another members first deck profile with you. Joining me this week we got Benny Bear.
Hello.
Benny boy.
Thank you for having me.
My Benjamin Button. Um, if you're seeing this on Monday, it means, or if you're seeing this early, well, it's members members first, members only. Thank you guys so much for being a member. We appreciate you. Thank you for sticking around. Love to have you on this journey with us, and hope you guys are looking forward to it. Hope you guys are enjoying these so far. Hope you guys are enjoying everything else that we've been doing, and there's only more to come. So look forward to it. If you're watching this, when it's out to the public and you aren't a member yet, maybe consider becoming one. You get to choose what deck profiles we do every week, in addition to being able to get access to our deck check videos that we've started doing recently, where we go over recently topping decks every week on Fridays. And we also have our deck workshops that we'll do with members, where if someone just pings me in Discord, I'll hop into a voice call with you. Somebody else hop into a voice call with you, and we'll work on some stuff. But aside from that stuff, if you're watching this and you're just someone who's sort of strolled along, consider subscribing. Consider if you enjoy the video, consider giving the video a like. It helps us out a lot. Appreciates us. Or we appreciate you, and shows that you appreciate us, and it helps the good old YouTube algorithm know that we're doing the right thing. So I think that'll about do it for that.
These go live to the public on Wednesday, right?
Those doozies. Everyone's gonna see a little Arby bubble pop up. Arby is in here. He's just chilling, I guess. Welcome, Arby, to this deck profile. Because of how reactive works, it automatically detects you. So now you're doing this deck profile with us.
Hi, Arby.
Congratulations.
Hello.
Okay. Well, woohoo, scuff time. Let's go. All right. But Hexeblau is the profile we're doing this week. I think we did post, but I don't know if anyone saw it because I also posted it with something else as well. So that's my bad.
It was a busy weekend. It was a busy weekend.
It was a busy weekend. A lot of stuff going on. But without further ado,
we get there. We're here.
Yes, we do. Ben, I'm gonna let you take it away. Go ahead. You go. Give us your thing, Chicken Wayne.
Sounds good, brother. So thank you guys for tuning in. As DJ said, before I hop into the profile itself, as those of you who saw the match play video or have yet to see it, go check it out. Hexeblau was my first deck that I ever put together, as I got introduced to the Digimon card game. So this is a very special place in my heart. I've always been a blue boy, as you guys know, and I think Source Strip and I think that was sort of the big thing that Blue had towards the beginning, along with some unsuspend shenanigans. But I really enjoy this deck. I think it finally got some well-needed support to put it back into relevancy. It's not the strongest deck by any means, as a pure tribal deck, but Hexeblau from EX-07 as a top end is really strong. And this is sort of what I have here as a supporting piece to it. So it is a flexible deck, so let me know what you guys are running as well. And enough yapping from me in terms of the Digitama. I'm starting off with 4 Wanyamon that basically just draw if you have a blue Tamer in play, and then 1 of the Hyarimon from EX-07, which essentially just says when attacking once per turn, if your opponent has no Digimon with sources, you can essentially draw 1. So again, the idea behind the eggs is consistency. I don't think I would consider anything else. The deck is needing some memory efficiency, but I also think consistency is huge for your pieces, which is why I opted for these 5. And then moving on to the rookies, we're going to start off with 2 of the Balukamon from BT5. Really used for the inheritable of when you strip a source, you gain a memory. So this is something I typically like to hatch in the back and keep it there in raising and use it as part of my line. Madokes over here, Smokes, just kind of puffing away at the leaves. He's really there as your memory floodgate. Obviously, as we've seen now with Galaxy Mirage running around, Imperial, if they can't get rid of this guy, it is a little bit of a nuisance. So I do run him at a 2 of, just because sometimes just slamming him down buys you another turn to do some stuff. So he's there for just floodgate reasons. Next, I do 2 Gomamon. Start a main phase, being able to strip a source can help you gain that advantage when you pair it with Tamers like Jokito, which we'll get to in a little bit. The inheritable of opponent's turn, when the Digimon gets deleted, you can play out a Gomamon, can come up at times. but really, again, mainly for the ability to strip a source and deem yourself unblockable is really, really nice. So he's run at a 2 of. And then the big rookie that we're running at a 4 of is going to be the new EX-07 Balukamon. Basically, your searcher for the deck. On play, you get to search top 3. Here, you get to pick up potentially 2 pieces. So you get to pick up one with Hexeblau or Paledramon in name, which is really, really nice. And then one with the Ice Snow trait in name, which, again, the potentiality is there for a double hit. More often than not, with how kind of toolboxy this deck can be, you typically just get 1, but sometimes you get 2. And the inheritable is pretty good as well. You know, when attacking, once per turn, you can strip the top card of your opponent's Digivolution cards. That's always a nice, like, just added benefit there, particularly in a deck that likes to source strip. Being able to give you that consistency to do it pretty much every turn you're live is really, really nice. And then we round out the rookies with 2 of Snow Agumon from EX-07. Again, Iceclad, which is the new mechanic that this deck introduces, is its sort of like main keyword. And then the inheritable is the exact same as Balukamon. Basically, when attacking, you trash top source. He's there as just like a cheeky, if I can keep him out for a turn and I've stripped enough sources, I can just go ahead and maybe like crash into something. Otherwise, I use the inheritable. So that rounds out the rookie lineup with Snow Agu at a 2 of. So if you guys notice, this is pretty like a wide spread of rookies. It's more like a toolboxy feel of like what I want to use per the scenario. But it's been working for me so far. Any questions there for the rookies?
No. I think you pretty much you're thorough. I'm just in the backpack. I'm the kazooie to your banjo.
Sounds good. Wouldn't have it any other way. But moving on to level 4s, we start off with 1 Kumamon. Hybrid for game is still a strategy, right? And then when Digivolving, trash 1 just adds to the whole source strip mechanic. So I think a 1 of is decent. You know, I don't think I would put more hybrids in there just because you do want to keep your Tamers alive for memory shenanigans. Next level 4 that we run is 2 of Ikakumon. Let me see. I forget what he's from. I think he's from BT. Is it 15?
He's BT 15.
14.
Or 14. No, he's 14. Sorry, I'm thinking of the
Two,
body stuff.
2 of the Ikaku. Yeah, 2 Ikaku from BT 14. He's a cheeky one. I think when Digivolving, you're able to strip any 2, which is not bad, right? As like a nice, like, I'm here, I'm taking 2 away. You know, training into him is always nice if you're able to get like an ace card out of a stack or whatever. But when attacking, once per turn until the end of your opponent's turn, one of your opponent's Digimon with fewer cards can attack. So a nice like pseudo stun mechanic there too. And then the inheritable is the exact same. One of your opponent's Digimon with fewer Digivolution cards than this Digimon can't attack. So again, can pair up nicely with maybe the older Hexeblau, for example. But I think just like a cheeky 2 of is just to round up the level 4 lineup, because the main 2 players here are Caesarmon, I believe from BT 16, if I'm not mistaken.
Isn't that 17?
17,
That's 17.
Yeah. 3 of the BT 17 Caesarmon, mainly for the jamming inheritable. Because you want your guys to stay on board, particularly with Iceclad. If you can just like make your Hexeblau as sticky as possible, you want to do that and just force them to just get rid of it via like expensive ways. So that's why I really wanted to prioritize getting some sort of jamming in there as I could. So I think that's pretty good why it's there. On player, when Digivolving, you can tuck something underneath, a level 3 underneath to give the stack jamming is also pretty decent. But that's why he's there as a 3 of. Next is Paledramon from EX-07. He's a 4 of. When Digivolving, you can trash the bottom 2 Digivolution cards. If your opponent doesn't have anything on board with a source, you can give a stack jamming and blocker, which a play that I like to do is to give itself jamming, swing jamming for 1 check, and then you can go into the new Crisp Pale, which we'll talk about, and restand and push more aggression. The inheritable is the same as the Snow Agu, just trash the top card. So that rounds out our level 4s.
Nice.
Level 5s are a little bit more straightforward. It's going to be 2 of the old Crisp Paledramon. It's when Evo effect is really not too significant. You just trash the bottom card. Doesn't really come up as much in today's meta because you have a lot of stacks. The inheritable is really what it's there for. If your opponent does not have a Digimon with Digivolution cards, you gain check +1. So again, just pushes a lot of aggression. A Hexeblau swinging for potentially 3 checks is pretty darn good, which is why I include it as a 2 of. I run 2 Zudo Aces, again, just source strip mentality, being able to Zudo Ace if you have a Pale Drill live on board is really good. If you have a Caesar with jamming, also pretty good to just threaten the Zudo Ace play and also just get your opponent's sources down. And then we round out the level 5s with 4 of the new Crisp Pale-Dramon from EX-07. Has inherent Iceclad, which again is very, very good. If I didn't clarify earlier, just basically instead of comparing DP power, you compare sources, which if you're a source strip deck is really, really strong. And then when Evo, again, you strip sources. And if your opponent doesn't have anything with sources on board, you can go ahead and restand. So that's where I say that Pale Dramon play can come in pretty clutch. Because if you're able to just push aggression with Pale Dress, swing a check jamming, you can go into a Crisp Pale, restand, and kind of keep your body live with a jamming and blocker stack. So pretty good there. The inheritable is basically an upgraded BT7 Crisp Pale Dramon, where again, if your opponent doesn't have any Digimon with sources in play, you gain check +1, but now you gain piercing, which is with Iceclad is really, really nice because your Hexeblau can now just say, I'm gonna swing into you, do the 3 checks potentially or 2 checks and pierce through and have more board control. So really, really nice inheritable sort of upgrade there. And that rounds out the level 5s. Moving on to the level 6s. We run the full Hexeblau package. So we run a 2-4 split, 2 of the old BT5 Hexeblau. When digivolving, you basically do Sworjo. You strip 2 sources. And if your opponent doesn't have anything with a source, you go ahead and give your stack jamming, which is pretty good. All turns, anything without a source cannot attack or block. So a nice late game just stun mechanic, because there have been many times where my either going up the line or using my Tamers, I'm able to basically have a bunch of big bodies on board without sources. If I'm stuck in a pinch, if I Evo into this Hexeblau, I kind of force them to pay memory to Evo if they want to swing, which if you're efficient about your memory, sometimes if you choke them enough, they can't do that. So he's a good, I think, more late game top end, if anything. But I do prioritize the new Hexeblau because he's just so good. Check +1 inherent, Iceclad inherent is strong as is. When digivolving, you can trash any 4 Digivolution cards amongst your opponent's board in general, which is really strong and allows you a lot of flexibility in terms of mapping out your source strip. Because it's not locking you into one stack. You can kind of go about the board and just select sources to strip, which is really, really nice. And then opponent's turn, anything with fewer or as many. So you basically have to have your opponent climb with more sources. If they meet in sources, they still cannot suspend. Anything with equal to or lesser sources are basically locked out of the game, which is really, really strong. And as we've seen it illustrated in other decks like Imperial, in Galaxy Loop, you can really abuse that trait, which is absolutely suffocating. So I really, really love Hexeblau as an updated card here, and I think a 4 of is just mandatory. I am running 2 Sworjo from BT5 and 3 Jokido from, is that BT6?
It's 14. It's 14.
14? Jesus, my set numbers are off.
You're fine.
But anywho's, Sworjo, for those of you who don't know, start a main phase. If your opponent has a Digimon without a source, you just automatically gain 2 memory. So for me, this sort of took place as a memory setter. Davis sets you to 3 and does allow you to search, but I felt this just synergized better.
It's start a turn, right?
Start a turn, yeah, start a turn. This just synergized better for me with the deck as opposed to a flat out memory setter. So I'm still paying the 4 cost, and it does help my game plan, which is why I choose it. 3 Jokido. On play, you get to strip a source, and your turn, whenever you do strip a source, you can suspend him to gain a memory. So can become a 2-cost tamer to play. And when paired with how much source stripping you're doing, can really make your plays a lot more efficient. If I were to switch anything up, I might cut Joe down to 2 and maybe bump up Sora Joe to 3 potentially. Just to maybe give myself a little bit more like guaranteed memory, because sometimes your opponents can play around Joe, or if you've done too much source stripping, then he becomes sort of like a lame duck, like he just sort of
it's
sits
not
there.
really doing anything anymore.
Yeah. And then in terms of maybe Digimon, I might add like a Blitz Omni, because with how aggressive Hexeblau can be, sometimes you're just needing that one extra check. You just Blitz Omni for game.
Yeah, true. Makes sense.
But otherwise, that's really the only other racial stuff I change. In terms of options, I am running 1 Sorai and 2 Summon Frost. Sorai, again, for Source Strip and being able to just help give you another turn. More often than not, your deck is Source Stripping to high heaven, so getting rid of sources for stuff is super helpful and really just adds to what Sora's effectiveness can be. Summon Frost is an interesting card. It's a 5-drop to strip all of your opponent's Digimon sources by 2. And if you didn't strip sources, then you can go ahead and play out a level 4 or lower Ice Snow trait Digimon from your hand. As you can see, I'm only running the Paildras, the Snow Agus, and the Beluga, which sometimes like can whiff. So again, if I were to cut something down, I might cut Summon Frost like maybe 1 and maybe use that as a Blitz Omni source or just another option. But it's been pretty decent. You know, a 5-drop to do that is not terribly expensive. And a lot of times, like I said, you stripped enough where this just becomes like a stun the board tactic where you just stall for another turn, right? And just lock your opponent out of another turn.
Yeah.
So it's not bad. It's not bad as a 5-drop. And then the rest of the options are kind of like standard consistency pieces. So 2 blue mem boost and 4 mental training. Again, I think you source strip enough where I don't want to rely too much on my options for that, because they can just gum up your hand. I figured if I'm going to have options stuck in my hand, I just want consistency.
Yeah.
Because if I can get into Hexeblau fast, then I just lock my opponent out of multiple turns. So mem boost and training is just self-explanatory there. And that wraps up the deck.
Okay.
Sorry if that went a
Nice.
little fast. Hopefully that was thorough enough for you guys.
No, you're good. I think you did. You have a lot of cards in the deck too, so I think it helps to go fast.
Yeah,
Otherwise it can
yeah.
take a while. The okay, so for tech choices, things that you
Yeah.
I know you said the Blitz Omni earlier.
Mhm.
Are there any other cards you've considered like swapping out or adding in?
Sure.
That you can think of
Sure.
off the top of your head.
I could consider adding maybe more Goma. I think maybe cutting either like 1 Madoki or 1 Snow Agu and maybe bumping the Gomas up a little bit could be something I consider for sure. The Zudo Ace I definitely want. Maybe cutting like a level 6 Hexeblau and doing like a Vike Ace maybe
Yeah.
could be helpful with how often you have stuff down to 1 source, and if you can just lock them out of a game, I think Vike Ace is pretty strong here.
Yeah.
And then last thing would probably be like Paladin mode Ace, right? Like again, with how much stuff you have on board without a source, if you can just Paladin Ace and just keep swinging, sometimes that's more than you need.
Yeah.
So I think those are the things I'd probably look to add into the deck.
What about things like Huan-Kun or Gauga? Just generic good
Sure.
blue like toolbox cards like Gauga in place of Caesar or Caesar, and like Huan-Kun in place of the Chris Paildra. Have you considered those at all, or?
I've considered it for sure. I think Gauga is definitely a strong choice because you draw for consistency and you give the jamming.
And he's a one
The
cost
thought
Evo.
here, yeah, and he's a 1-cost Evo. The thing with the Caesar, I thought maybe if I could tuck in like an extra Snow Agu, an extra like Beluga to like help me with more source strip, that was sort of the idea behind it. But I definitely see Gauga as a strong option. Huan-Kun, I'm dabbling more into it. I'm becoming more and more of a fan of it, but I want to prioritize the Chris Pales for sure. Just because that extra check with an already check +1 with Hexeblau is just so nasty.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess my thought process with Huan-Kun was like it's like 4 checks, right? If you like swing instead of it being
Potentially, yeah.
one big 3 check.
Yeah. But speaking of Huan-Kun, I mean, the new Huan-Kun that's coming out with the special release set, that
was
could be
nasty.
something I consider for sure. Because if you can't die in battle,
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge for your Hexeblau too, right?
Yeah,
Because
big.
huge.
And being able to ignore redirects entirely is also very good.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. And so matchups, like good matchups, bad matchups. What's the take? What's the heat?
Sure. I mean, I think we can start with the bad matchups. I think anything with big security bombs is always a little rough because we don't have inherent protections or ways to like evade, for example. Iceclad is very strong in terms of like going into things onto the field, but you're kind of left to the wilderness and security. So anything with like big buff Digimon and security or security bombs are rough, like Levia. I would say maybe like even Omni DNA with how much like top end they're running could definitely be tricky. And things that don't really like Galaxy, right? That just build up like big stacks. Don't give me that opportunity to like strip everything. Granted, it could also work in my favor if I've got stuff to strip, but I think it's like a toss up there. And decks that just go fast because I do need some time to set up. Good matchups, I feel like, are decks that like to play out via effect and throw out that body without a source, which like Sora Joe just feasts on, you know?
Sure.
And like, for example, D Brigade is a pretty favorable matchup for me because they tend to spit out stuff. They rely on their sources. I strip them, and then they've got a wide board, but they can't really do anything about it.
Yeah.
So decks like that I think are pretty good for me. I've run into some success with Imperial because I'm able to take out their partition with source strip, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, makes sense.
But yeah, I think I've had a lot of fun with the deck. I'm definitely up to tinkering with it. Definitely gonna just kind of put it through the grind and see what we can do, but it's been fun. It's nice to play Hexeblau again.
Nice. Yeah, I have not gotten the chance to play it myself. I've been waiting because you know I'm also a Hexeblau fan.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to eventually actually get my hands on it once I get my last Hexeblau that I'm missing. But anyways, yeah, I think that does it. Any other last closing thoughts on the deck? Anything else?
No. I mean, I think it's very flexible. Like, there's definitely different ways you can run it and build it. I know some of the comments already on the channel have put out some great ideas, so thank you guys for pointing some stuff out. And I'm just excited to see what we can do. You know, it's a good time to be a blue player. For better or for worse.
It is a very good time to be a blue player. That is for sure. All right, then that'll about do it. Thank you guys for watching. If you've watched this far into the video, you haven't liked it already, please go ahead and like it. If you've watched this far and you haven't subscribed, why?
What are you doing?
Subscribe.
What you doing?
Do it. Come on back. Come join us again. We'll have more for you. You know what? We got plenty of food in the kitchen, in which our chefs are working with, right?
Yeah.
And if you are watching this when it's out to the public and you enjoyed it, maybe become a member. You get early access to these things. You get to choose these things, and you get to see some other cool member exclusive content. And I think that'll about do it. So Ben, if you want to send us out with your fabled outro.
We'll see ya on that flippy flip. Bye bye.
I love it every time. Bye.